Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, March 27th, 2013 episode of Free Webinar Wednesdays. This is Eric Cook with WSI Internet Consulting, where we work with businesses and organizations on helping them better understand and leverage the power of the Internet as a strategic business tool. You can go online and learn more about me at www.poweredbywsi.com, or you can just do a Google search for Eric Cook WSI, and you'll find all sorts of fun stuff that way. With me this week is my good friend and Free Webinar Wednesday partner, Mr. Jeff Simpkins. Jeff, say hello to everybody out there in the Free Webinar Wednesday world.
Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Simpkins. I'm with Community Bank Consulting, Inc., and you can learn more about me and Community Bank Consulting, Inc. online at www.communitybankconsulting.com. And because I like your approach, Eric, I'm going to say you can also do a Google search for Jeff Simpkins and find all sorts of information about me, my company, and a guy that's a really great runner in Canada that I'm envious of.
I was going to say, careful what you find when you Google for Eric Cook. You know, hopefully most of it is me, but there may be some other folks. I did get the domain ericcook.com from a rather questionable individual who had some interesting stuff on that domain and out of the UK about 8 or 9 years ago. And yeah, that's not the Eric Cook that I would like to say is me. So I think he's kind of been buried and he's gone now. So we need to be. Well, I don't know if he's buried, like as in he's dead or anything like that, but he's not showing up on the first page of Google. Let's just say that. So, oh, well, that's kind of an unusual way to start a show.
We have all sorts of people in the audience Googling Eric Cook even as we speak.
Oh, too funny, too funny. So we've taken a little diversion from our typical weather update, and we've given you a little Google homework to go out and see what you can find. So I had somebody that actually did a Google image search for me the other day because I was doing a webinar, and they wanted to pull up some pictures of me. And she said, you would be pleased to know that while I was doing the research, actually Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20, one of the kind of rock bands out there today, Rob Thomas's picture kept coming up for you. So I don't know if that's good or bad. You know, I'd love to be a rock star someday when I grow up, but I don't think that'll ever happen because I can't play a musical instrument or sing. So I think those two things are going to keep me from that dream. But, you know, at least a rock star comes up when you Google for a picture of me, I suppose. Whatever. So,
you're a rock star in your own way, Eric.
Yeah, in my own mind, maybe. So, well, let's go ahead and move this off from my rock star fantasies and Googling for each other into what we're going to talk about actually today for our real session, because we got a real rock star joining us on the show. But before we get started, we want to remind everybody that today's session is being recorded and will be made available at freewebinarwednesdays.com for playback. So if there's something that you'd like to catch or share, you can certainly do that on the web. Also, today's session is going to be a little bit more interactive than others, and our speakers actually kind of organized his slides with some questions as they relate to the topic of the day, and we're going to be interested in your feedback and whether you think some of the statements that he's putting up there are true or false. So be familiar with your chat box and your control panel, which is located over to the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll see how many people can get things right when Reg actually poses questions to us. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome Reg Gupton to the show. And Reg is going to chat with us today about daily coupon deals, and we're all familiar with the Groupons and the Living Socials out there. And are they right for your business, the challenges and the risks? And this is a pretty timely topic for me, actually, because we're going to be going to dinner on Friday, and we're going to use a 50% off, spend $50, get $100 worth of stuff for a restaurant.com coupon that my wife bought probably almost a year ago. We're finally going to use it. So we'll be curious to see how that relates. So, Reg, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks, guys. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I'll let you know that if you do a Google search on Reg Gupton, you only get one. And that's me.
And that's so you. You've got kind of a unique name.
Yeah, well, there's some Guptons out there. There's some
I'm
Guptons
not sure I would admit that. I might like to be able to blame someone else for what you find.
Well, it's interesting because until the web came, I thought that there weren't very many Guptons in the country, and it turns out, like a lot of names, there are tens of thousands. But who knew? Who knew?
Who knew? So, Reg, we're going to talk about coupons today. Why don't you, for the benefit of the audience, give us a brief little intro about what makes you qualified to chat about this, what your interest is, and a little bit about your background, so we have a better idea of who's going to be spending the next 53 minutes with us.
I can do that, thanks. Well, one of the questions you can reasonably ask is what gives me the right to talk about that, and I'll go from general to specific. I graduated from college 40 plus years ago with a MBA in marketing and quantitative methods. The good news is I've forgotten all the quantitative methods stuff, and the also good news is I've been studying marketing for all these 40 years, and I've been coaching small businesses and others as a basically business development coach and a process coach for the last 13 years. I sold real estate for 20, and I was a trainer along with being a real estate broker here in Boulder, Colorado. And then I sold my practice and began coaching pretty much full time. And then I became interested in the daily coupons because one of my coaching clients was looking for a way to market a product. So we together came upon the idea that maybe discounted coupons, daily deal coupons, was something that he could do. And I've seen a lot of businesses do them, and I've actually, like you guys, I've taken advantage of some of them. And I questioned the arithmetic, frankly, and I questioned what I saw people both do and not do in terms of how they handled coupons. So I've done a lot of online research. I'm a frustrated academic, and then I've had experience, but it's not broad. It's only with one person. And it turned out that, we'll talk about industries later, it turned out that the daily deal coupons were not a successful marketing strategy for this particular product. So let's get started. I want to talk about daily coupons as an customer acquisition strategy. And here's just some. Some businesses get customers with print media. I see that a lot with small businesses here in downtown Boulder, where my office is. They advertise a lot. Some businesses use direct mail. Some use email. And then, of course, one of the best is referrals from your friends and past clients. And now everybody wants to do social media, thinking that's the end-all and be-all. And then the last one, which we'll talk about today, is daily coupons. Maybe a question to ask the group, Eric, is what other business acquisition strategies, techniques are people using?
Sure, that's a good one. I'll jump the gun there and play off of our intro. I would maybe as a referral, but I would say SEO and web. But if anybody out there in the free webinar Wednesday world has an idea, so we've got cold calling is coming in. That's always a fun process. Pay-per-click advertising, so buying links, maybe even expanding that into banner and display advertising on the web to get your message out. I know a lot of businesses will put their banners on the local news channel or maybe even the newspaper's website. They're not advertising in the newspaper, but everybody's going online to read the news. So cool.
Okay.
And even sponsoring events and other sort of group activities, I think, is another good way to get your name out. And maybe even just good old-fashioned networking and attending chamber functions and other sorts of activities. So.
Yeah, maybe sometime in the future we could have a session, or we could talk about networking events, because I have a friend who is a local and long-time architect, and he spends, I don't know what the time is, guys, 5 hours a week in networking events.
Oh, wow.
And he doesn't network with a purpose. So he shows up and passes out business cards, and basically it does nothing for him. Does absolutely nothing. So maybe networking events would be a topic for some future session. But I agree.
Yeah.
These are all good ones. I'm confused. Whoever the person is who put down cold calling, I didn't think he could do that. So just somebody help me out here.
Yeah, I don't know how effective it is, but you know, you can just smile and dial, and you want to be careful of do not call registry information and those sorts of things. But
Well, that's where I was going. That's where I was going with
yeah,
it.
yep. So but that still exists.
Well, I know I get it a few times a week at my office, but hopefully not at home anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
here's the first question for all of us. Daily deals only bring in bargain hunters. What do you think, guys? Myth or fact?
Do we get to play?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to guess myth. Eric, do you have want to take a try?
Yeah, I would. I'll be devil's advocate. I'll say if it's and I'm adding things to it, of course, but I would say initially the bargain hunter is going to be more interested in a daily deal than maybe the person that's willing to spend full price. But as we'll, I'm sure, see here, it's part of the strategy. So I would say true that it's going to bring in bargain hunters.
Okay, what's the group say?
Audience votes. We have more that are saying myth than are saying that it only brings in bargain hunters.
Okay, great. Well, the reality is we have created a culture that created some bargain hunter gremlins, and they really are out there. And as you can see from the data, in one research study I looked at, 56% of this survey sample check daily deal sites to see what offers are out there before they go shopping.
So does that mean I'm right? Does that mean I'm right because it's 56% that are deal gremlins?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, just it's not 80%, but it's, you know, we have created a culture with the
Simpkins.
Yeah, with the daily deal people who've signed up, who they go look and see if they can find a deal for whatever they're going to buy. I was frankly shocked that it was this low. I thought it would have been higher.
I would agree. I would expected it to be higher. It doesn't surprise me that it's at least half, even if it's just a little bit over that. But I would have expected it to be closer to the 70 or 80%. But interesting.
Okay. Here's the next one. Here's one of the things that I often hear is you're offering discounts to your existing customers. What do you think? Myth or fact?
Well, I guess maybe before, and people can certainly answer that, but is there a problem with that? Or are you going to go into where are you going with that question?
Well, it's just it's giving away. The thought is if I offer a coupon, I'm giving away margin. I'm offering a discount to people who would shop with me anyway, or buy with me anyway.
Gotcha. Giving away something. So yeah, I would agree. Yes, that your existing customers are going to get an advantage there.
Well, they do, but the question is it a problem?
Yes, I would say it's a problem.
Okay.
Jeff?
I have a multi-part answer.
Nothing's ever easy on pre-webinar Wednesday.
Yeah, why don't you just make it easy, Jeff?
It's a problem if you are giving a discount that eats away all of your margin. However, if you offer discounts to new customers only, you stand a really good chance if your existing customers learn of that they're going to get irritated and perhaps will become an ex-customer as a result.
Okay, great. So what's the audience say?
Agree, yes.
Okay. Well, this is one I'll tell you that I was shocked at. According to the data that I saw, 80% of the people who were taking advantage of the coupons, even as often as the 8th or 7th or 8th time you've run one, 80% of them are new customers. So if I'm a business person and I want new business, this is a way to get it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't believe it, and I checked it a couple of different places, and the data is pretty compelling. It's not exactly 80%, but for round numbers, it's close enough. So
yeah, that's true. Because especially when it comes to places to eat or certain types of services, I'm very reluctant to go in and spend full price. But especially for a restaurant, if it's someplace that's convenient and I'm interested in what they offer, man, I love to get a Groupon or a daily deal or whatever to give it a try.
Sure, sure. So that's one of the things to think about, folks, is that if you are looking for new customers, here's a way to get them. Now, granted, you're giving away margin, and we have to talk about that, and we will talk about that before we're done today, about what you do about that. Here's the next one. Daily deals are a quick way to give you some profit.
I'm going to say false, no. I think they can potentially be a quick way to raise cash, but it may just be cash. It may not have margin in it.
I would agree with that.
Okay, what does the group say?
We'll give it some time. So, audience, this is where you can chime in. I think Jeff offered to hum the Jeopardy jingle if you'd like us to.
Well, I could describe the view out the window of my office here in downtown Boulder, but that'd make people angry.
There you go.
We're getting more falses than trues.
Okay.
You have both answers, but more falses.
Okay, well, here's the data. And you can see that it varies a little bit, but basically 50–60% of the businesses are reporting that they're making a profit on their deals. So to me, that's not great. But it does give you new customers if you have something to do about that later. So this, think about it. If you want to do this for profit as compared to new customers, probably not going to work for you. But you will get cash, as was mentioned, but it may not be bottom line cash. So that's something to think about.
Right.
I want to do a restaurant example, and I don't know if there are any restaurateurs in the group. Would you hold up your hand or say yes, me? And because I may have some bad data here for one number that I have, and I'd like to get a reality check if I do. So if there's anybody running a restaurant, if they could hold up their hand and help me with the data, I'd really appreciate it.
We will monitor the chat box in case a restaurateur pokes their head in. So
okay,
we'll let you know.
All right.
And my guess is that we probably have consultants in the audience that have restaurants as clients.
Okay, well, that'd be great because then they'll know the numbers. So let's do a simple one. You get $20 worth of food for $10. So how much does the restaurant get typically? They get $5.
Oh, from the coupon proceeds. Half of the face value.
Yeah, so the $10 goes to Groupon as an example, and you get $5, less merchant fees. And here's where I need some help from a consultant or somebody who owns a restaurant. I put down that the cost of food was 20%. Is that close enough for you guys? For somebody out there who works in the industry?
You're not going to get any argument from me because I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody in the audience know?
Doesn't look like we're getting any.
Okay. I've heard it's between 20 and 25%. If that's true, so that's 20% of the $20, not 20% of the $10, you really lost money on the deal. So you have to think about this as a customer acquisition strategy and figure out how it is that you're going to take that 80% of the new people, of the people who showed up, who redeemed the coupon, and how do you work to convert them to a long-term customer or client. These set of numbers, guys, shocked me in the restaurant business. Is people are running, and I've read articles, and you two may have also. I've read articles in the popular press, the business trade publications, about small restaurant owners who basically neared bankruptcy. They got so many people coming in the door, and they were upside down. They were upside down on each of the deals that they basically almost went bankrupt.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful.
As a comment on that, I was at a conference and I was chatting with somebody who had recently moved from one of the daily deal couponing sites, and I'll leave them nameless to protect the innocent, but he had commented about how, things were starting to get a little bit more difficult in that industry, and people were getting burnt, very similar to the example that you had shared here, and even went so far as to say, there were a lot of clients that he remembers signing up that he almost felt guilty because, realizing that it was putting them in a situation like this, if they didn't have a plan to go and take this loss to try to turn it into a profit or do something with that customer to get them to come back and do a full price meal or bring friends or structure it differently. So, he shared some cognitive dissonance on that, even said, I feel kind of bad for some of the people that I sold into the daily deals because I know that it was a money loser for them, but that's what we did. And the industry took off and everybody just kind of rolled with the tidal wave. So, and unfortunately, you're right, there are some businesses that are no longer around or very close to not being around because of jumping on the wave and not realizing what they're getting themselves into.
Well, I think
this makes a really good case for how important it is in businesses where you have hard costs to be aware of what your cost of goods sold is before you even consider a coupon deal.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, Reg?
Well, I agree with you, and remember we started off on slide 1 with this is a customer acquisition strategy.
Right.
So if you view it as another customer acquisition strategy, like advertising in the press, as an example, it's just another way, it's a cost of doing business. And I couldn't agree more that I have an aphorism that I love, and you're all welcome to write it down and steal it. Just give me attribution once or twice, is the person who knows their numbers wins. So you really do need to know your numbers and what are your fixed costs. I know of a restaurant in the suburb of Denver who has a customer acquisition strategy and a marketing system that we're going to talk about in a few minutes in terms of what they do when you come there and when you get in the door. And it's genius. It's absolutely genius. And this young man, Ben, took the business from, don't hold me to this exactly, but let's say $650,000 a year to just a shade under $2 million in 2 years by doing some of the things I'm going to describe here in a couple of minutes. But he understood his numbers and he understood what he needed to do to drive revenue, and almost all of his touches, and if I use touches, folks, I hope you understand what I mean. He has a database and he touches that database. Almost all of the touches are incentivizing you as the recipient of the touch to bring people. Here's an example, and you guys got to write this down. My birthday is April 7th. So I received a card from this business with a birthday offer. It says free birthday entree, and with the purchase of another entree of equal or greater value. So what's he encouraging me to do?
Eat twice as much.
Friend.
Yeah, bring a friend. And I got another one from a restaurant here in town, and I actually talked to the owner of the restaurant. And he does a direct mail campaign like this, and he just sent me one, and I actually happened to sit down and talk with the guy. And this is a question to the audience and to you two. I happened to get him, and I said, what is your return on investment for your birthday direct mail program only? Because you got to bring the card in to redeem it. And he smiled and he said, I know that number. So guys and our audience, what do you think the ROI is on a birthday program? It was basically, you get your meal free if somebody else buys one, which is similar to this one that I just read. What do you think the ROI is?
So I don't have any idea, but my guess is that more often than not, you get not just one additional guest, but multiple additional guests. So my guess is the number's really good. Eric?
Yeah, I would say, and I don't know how ROI would be calculated in this instance, if you're doing it off of the cost of the food or the if he buys a $20 dinner and the other guy
Don't be
buys
too
a $20 dinner. But I'd say anywhere between probably 100 to 150%.
Well, you got any from the audience?
We got 50% from the audience.
Okay. I was shocked. It was 10 times his money. So for every dollar he invests in and again, specifically a birthday direct mail campaign, he gets $10 profit. And he said profit. So I didn't look at his P&L, and I don't know exactly how he measured it, but he was satisfied. 10 times his money. So
yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but that works for me. What do you think?
Sounds like
if
a
I
good
were a restaurateur, yep, absolutely.
Okay,
this guy has a bar in his restaurant.
Well, I know, guys, that when I go do this, and I've gotten 2 so far, I don't go alone. And like one of you said, I take friends, and often there'll be 5 or 6 of us.
Right.
And
most of those coupons exclude alcohol and tip, so you're buying a glass of wine or a couple of beers, and so there's ways that can be structured as well to help you reinforce the profit that you're making, because alcohol's got some pretty good profit associated with it.
So I understand.
Yeah. Not that I buy and sell alcohol a lot, but yeah.
Okay, folks, what do you think? And one of you, Jeff or Eric, said this before. All vouchers or daily deals are redeemed. What do you think? Is that true or false? And if it's false, what do you think the redemption rate is? I was shocked when I saw this.
It's got to be false, because I know in some states the state's attorney generals have pressed so hard that the face value has to be good either for an extended period of time or life.
Okay.
I'm going to just guess on a number. I would guess 60% of the vouchers are redeemed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say it's less than 50%. I don't know how far less, but I bet it's south of 50% myself.
You're both right. And this number shocked me. 43% of the people in the survey said that they had failed to redeem an offer that they purchased. And this was by expiration. So I'm sensitive to this study was 2011. So I'm sensitive that the attorneys general in states might be getting on top of this and not allowing the people to have expiration dates. But this would, of course, do what to your margin? Because what happens to the money?
Yeah, they've paid for the coupon, so it's sitting in your coffers just waiting for them to come in. If they're not going to take the 20% cost of the food, then but it's a liability that you got to carry forward and got to worry about.
Well, theoretically, yeah, it would be a liability. That's correct. Okay, now the question comes to what do we do now that we have somebody in the door? So what else can you do other than outrageous service and more discounts to get people back?
Oh, and by the way, Reg, we had somebody in the audience who got that number exactly right when you asked about the percentage of redemption.
Well, let's assume they read the same study I did.
There you go.
Yeah. So what can you do to take this 80% new customer and do something with it? And I want to tell a story before I give you some tips about this. And I think, guys, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and this is for the audience too. How many of you use a dry cleaner, dry cleaning service?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And here's something that I learned that was pretty interesting to me, and I think it's compelling because of the story it tells about decisions that we make as consumers. Could a dry cleaner offer a daily deal coupon? Sure. Right?
Oh, mine does all the time. They're in coupon every few weeks.
Yeah, and I guess and this is something I don't know about the dry cleaning industry, as I don't know their fixed cost. And my guess is for sure it's not very high, actually.
And the margins are quite high on dry cleaning. They're not nearly as high on laundry because it's more labor intensive.
Okay, all right. And here's something that I learned. I want you to think about the implication of this. So let's say that the local dry cleaner offers a coupon and gets you in the door. If they can keep you coming back for 4 times, then the odds of you changing are almost 0. So once you've established a habit, you are unlikely to change. So is that stickiness available in other industries? I think so. But the question is, how do you get people to stick? And I want to talk about that next. So one of the things you can do, and this is something that doesn't happen in most businesses, is you build a digital database. Pretty straightforward. But I have been in companies, and excuse me, in businesses, and they will ask me for my contact information. And because I'm a marketer, I'm absolutely willing to give it because I want to see what they do. And I give it, and I'll tell you what they do here in a moment. And it's also, how many of you folks in the audience have websites that have the ability for the visitor to opt in for something? And my guess is that it's some number. I don't know because I don't know exactly who's in the audience, but it's got to be some number. You allow people to opt in to get your newsletter, get offers from you, something. Here's something that I've seen happen to me personally in the last 60 days 3 times. On purpose, I went to 3 local businesses and opted in on purpose to see what they did. And the longest was, I think, 60 days ago. The shortest was about 30 days ago. You know where I'm going with this, or I wouldn't be telling the story. Guess how many times I've been contacted by these businesses?
None.
0. So folks, if you're going to go to the trouble to allow the public to opt in or give your email address, for God's sakes, do something about it. In the old days, how many of you went in a bar or a restaurant and had a fishbowl at the counter, the hostess station, etc., and you put your business card in it to get it drawing? How many of you have heard from any of those businesses? I don't know about you, but I dropped business cards in for a long time just to see what the heck would happen. Basically nothing. Nothing happens. So this guy in Colorado with the restaurant in Metro Denver, he built his database from 650 names, which his dad had, to 3,500 names, digital database, electronic. And he took the revenue, as I said, from $650,000 a year to just a shade under $2 million. And I want you to, we could do the analysis of his costs with the story that I just did about the food cost. But of the increase of, let's say, $1 million and some change, Jeff and Eric, how much would the rent change over that 2-year period and that increase in volume?
You can play, Eric.
I would suspect that those costs aren't going to incrementally go up as fast as his income, so he's just building his margin there.
Yeah, so what would happen to utilities? They would go up a little.
They go up a little.
Yeah, you know, what would happen to insurance? Probably not.
Maybe go up a little.
Yeah. What's the only element of his cost structure? There might be 2 actually, but what's the major element of his cost structure that goes up?
Food and labor.
Yeah, food and labor, exactly right. And how much is the labor going to go up? When you turn the room 2 or 3 times at lunch, how much does it really honestly matter? Do you need a 50% more labor? Of course not.
No.
But you need more food, so how much of that 1.2 million roughly do you suppose fell to the bottom line?
Most. A significant amount.
Yeah. So the key for him was to recognize that he could make money with the digital database. So that's the first thing that the small business needs, or the business needs to do. The next is, of course, with the database, you need to create a follow-up plan. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means a sequence of touches, offering people things to get them to come in the door and spend more money. And the piece for me with the dry cleaner story that I told is, what could keep me coming back for the second or third or fourth visit? Could you have decreasing discounts? Probably. I mean, that's one strategy that you could think about. Another is just touch me. Stay in touch with me. I don't know that that works in a dry cleaner environment, but it certainly works in a restaurant environment and other businesses, retailers which we can think of. One of the businesses whose website I signed up on, is a local outdoor store. Jeff and Eric, you know I'm an outdoor guy. If I'm an outdoor guy, can you really send me too much email about outdoor stuff, gear?
Depends on if you're sending information about the right outdoor stuff.
Well, it's hiking and climbing and backpacking and camping stuff. So I do those things. So no, just send it on. You know, REI sends me, I don't know, an email a week, 2 emails a week. So if you are in your niche, folks, within reason, you can't send too much email. Within reason. I wouldn't send every day, but you need a written touch plan of staying in touch with your people in your database over time. Next, one of the things you can do is figure out some way to ask your new customers to pay attention to Facebook, pay attention to Twitter, and come back with their family and friends. This is an area, guys, that maybe somebody in the audience or one of you two can help me with. The Foursquare checking in, I don't really understand that very much.
That would be Mr. Cook. Yeah, he's the Foursquare guy.
Yeah, I am. Foursquare, and actually my wife and I used it last year when we were on vacation. For those of you in the audience that maybe aren't familiar with it, it's an app. It's a website you can go to, but it's best used when you're using it directly on your mobile phone because it leverages the GPS and the location services in your phone to determine where you are and what businesses you're nearby, and then it gives you the ability to do what's known as checking in at those locations. And when you check in, you are essentially telling the friends that you are connected to on Foursquare, as well as providing the option to tell your Facebook and your Twitter friends the same thing, that you are at the XYZ restaurant or at the bank or at the dry cleaner. And some businesses will actually offer up coupons or awards if you check in, because you're essentially helping spread the fact that you are taking time and you've chosen to eat here or grab a drink with friends or whatever the case is. And you can attach notes and tips and pictures. When my wife and I checked in at a little restaurant in California when we were going on a cruise, we checked in at a wine bar, and the wine bar offered to, present this and get a free cheese or chocolate flight with your wine sample. And the cheese tray that we got was a $15 cheese tray. And then the next morning we went for breakfast, and we checked in at a little breakfast place, and American Express co-produced an offer with the restaurant, and if I paid with my American Express card, they were willing to offer me another 10% off my bill. So that changed my purchase behavior, because I would not have paid with my American Express card. I normally use Visa. So they actually shifted my transaction behavior. But they're doing it from a proximity basis, because they know that you're actually physically present, as opposed to just sending you a coupon and saying, well, I hope you go there someday. They're doing it right when it actually matters the most, when you're physically there at the location.
Aren't you scanning something off the window or something on your phone?
Not usually. Sometimes they will give you a QR code that you can scan, right, that will automatically take your phone to Foursquare and check in for you. But most of the people that already are using Foursquare will just go ahead and they'll use their own account with Foursquare and do it themselves. So it's more of an aid for people that maybe aren't familiar with Foursquare, where it can get them to sign up for it. Okay.
So, folks, would this be a way to leverage people who are in your business? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Friend. I mean, there's a bakery in town, a franchise called Great Harvest Bakery. I don't know. Maybe you guys are familiar with it. They make the best bread on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. And they did something the other day, and the business has been sold recently, so I don't know the owner anymore. I knew the owner, Scott, for 25 years. And they did something which I thought was pretty interesting. And they said, like our Facebook, they sent it out by email. They have a list. They sent an email out and said, like our Facebook page, come in and tell us you did, and we'll give you a free cookie. So think about the leverage. On Facebook, I've got 800 plus or minus connections. So when I like something, you see it. You know, it would have been better to share it. And they basically said, we'll trust you. If you come in and say you did it, liked it, then you get the cookie. I think that's an interesting leverage possibility of spreading the word. And I would have done it differently. As I said, I would have done something with the share versus a like, because Facebook handles it differently. But it's just another way of leveraging and multiplying your connections that you have. And then you have to create a strategy for upselling the people who redeem. And I don't have any tips about this. It's just you need to create some way to, if I come in and redeem a coupon, please talk to your servers, your wait staff, the people on the floor of your store, and have them discuss a way to get me to spend more money, because I have some data which I'm not going to share, not that I'm withholding, it's just too detailed, about how much money redeemers spent on the first, and how easy it was to get them to upsell. And it turns out it's pretty easy, much easier than I would have thought to upsell people. And the data, the research talks about how much was spent on the first visit and the second visit, etc. So if somebody wants that, my contact information is on the free Webinar Wednesdays page. Please get with me, and I'm happy to share it with you. It was shocking to me in a good way about how easy it is to upsell redeemers. So even though I come in for a $10 coupon for $20 worth of food, it's pretty easy to get me to spend more money if you know what to do and what to say and what to give me. And I think that most businesses where I redeem restaurant coupons, there's no action. They take the coupon and forget it. So just think about upselling. That logo in the upper right-hand corner, I've been searching for a program like this program for probably 5 or 7 years. I'm a database geek. I've been using a full functioning relational database since the DOS days, just to show you how long. And I can't imagine running my life without a database. And this program, All Clients, was recommended to me by one of my clients. And I did some due diligence on it. I am a reseller, so if you want to buy it, use it, please give me the courtesy of helping you with that, and I'd be thrilled. But it is a simple, easy, not elegant, but simple, easy relational database that allows you to input names and create action plans and marketing sequences to stay in touch with people over time with letters, and simply put, letters and emails. And I was really shocked to see it, and it's relatively inexpensive, either 20 or 30 bucks a month, which is cheap. I'm paying more than that for mine. But I can't imagine running my business and my life without a database. So one of the takeaways on this slide, folks, is if you don't have one, begin to create a digital database. Begin to create a digital database. And here's another Guptonism for you. Your wealth is in your list. Your wealth is in your list. So just remember that, and begin to collect them. Even if you start on paper, it's okay. All coupon deals, this should be obvious, all businesses are equally profitable offering coupons. Jeff, Eric?
False.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to move along, some as low as 27% profit and some as high as 75%. And what that means is that take 100 businesses, 27% of those 100 have profitable coupons versus 75%. I was really shocked, and here's the data on the industries, and I'll leave that up for a moment or two and let you look at it. I was shocked at which ones are profitable and which ones aren't. And it just shocked me that the percentage of the businesses who have profitable daily deals versus the percentage who don't. So there's a big range from 27 to 75%, and the highest was photographers, which surprises me. And if anybody has any insights into why that's true, that would be, I'd really like to hear it. This is something to think about. So you should find your business in here and figure out a way to see if you can beat the odds. And I think the odds can be beat, actually. I don't think it's that difficult to beat them. Any comments, observations?
What's the N equal represent?
That's my statistics background. That's a sample size.
Okay.
So there were 18, for example, 18 doctors and dentists, 11 cleaning services, 61 special events, 20 photographers, health and fitness, 101 business types.
Okay.
Good question. Thanks. The typical split is 50-50, and you all know the answer to this one. It always has to be that way. What do you think?
I don't think that's the case anymore.
I would say no as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to encourage you folks, if you're thinking about doing one, is do the first one on their numbers maybe, which will be 50-50 or worse. And then take a look, because here you can see the splits from 42 to 45 to 48%. That changes your net profit in a big way. So does experience matter with this?
Yes. I would say it does. You learn lessons, you figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't work, and what consumes your margin, and what products are going to be best suited for something like this.
Yeah, and I think a big one, and I think you alluded to it, is you got to know your margins. So you got to know your numbers. You have to know what's working, and you have to know the redemption rate. And you don't have to be a CPA, and the IRS isn't watching, but you really do have to pay attention to your numbers and watch the redemption, and watch the number that are sold, and watch your margin, and watch the costs associated with it. So yeah, less than half the businesses running their first deal reported profit, and almost three-quarters on their seventh or more deals reported profit. So that says to me, if you're going to do it, don't do one and be discouraged. Do one with intelligence and wisdom, and learn from what you do so that you can do better the next time. I call it successive approximation. Ready, fire, aim. Do something, make an adjustment, do it again. Make an adjustment, do it again. Make an adjustment, do it again. Because as we've talked about, there are businesses that it works very well with. There are things that you can do to make sure that you bring the people back, and I want to stress 80% new business for you, new customers for you in most businesses. So to me, if I were a retailer, restaurateur, coffee shop, spa owner, I don't know about doctor or dentist, but I would be really paying attention to this as a way to drive new customers, but only, and I want to repeat, only if I had the tail end figured out, if I had the end figured out. So I get you in the door as a new customer. What the heck do I do then? What do I do then? Guys, the formal presentation is over, so if there's any questions from the audience, I'm happy to entertain them. And I do have a special offer for the folks on this webinar that I'll hold for a moment or two, depending on what the questions are.
Okay.
I have a question, Reg.
Yes, please.
When does the business that's offering the coupon receive the revenue? Is it
Great
at
question.
the time
Thanks.
of redemption?
Yeah, thanks. The numbers can be as soon as 7 days after the end of the promotion, and as long as 60. So
Okay, so that answer made me believe that they get the revenue at the time the coupon is purchased, Groupon, whatever deal you happen to be using, as opposed to when the time it is redeemed. So which is correct?
That's correct. At least that's my understanding. So
which one are you saying is correct?
The Groupon gets the money, and they don't know who redeemed it and who didn't. Because if you print it off a Groupon, then take it and you have it physically, then you have it. So they don't know whether you redeemed it or not. So like the one that one of you said you've had for a year, is it a physical coupon?
Yeah, my wife printed it off, and she's got the piece of paper, and it's been sitting in a coupon folder for the last several months, and
Okay.
we've got friends we're going to go eat with. So yeah.
Yeah. That restaurant or that bar has the money, depending, again, from
Right.
7 to 60 days. So
Yep, I
once
would
once
agree with
you
that.
once you once you pay Groupon or Living Social or whoever it is you're working with, they get the money and then they distribute it to the merchant. Um, Again, depending on their time scale. So don't expect that your cash flow is going to be increased that next weekend. You could have costs, which we talked about, and no revenue to cover them. Any questions?
Yeah, we've got someone in the audience is saying, how smart do we need to be on this topic to confidently recommend it? Where do we become experts?
Yeah, I don't know that I have the answer for that. I will say that some of the research I did implied to me that there were people like me, small business consulting types, and the implication is that that's basically all they did was help small businesses get smart about doing daily coupons.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know of anybody doing that business solely. And there were some blog posts, etc., where people were interviewed, and some um, trade publication articles where people were interviewed, and they implied that that's all they did was help small businesses with daily deals. It
Yeah.
would seem like a pretty thin, narrow target market to me, but maybe not.
Yeah, I would think, if you start with your existing clients, I think the big thing there, and like Reg said, know your numbers. And a lot of times, just being a small business owner, especially when it comes to retail, that doesn't guarantee that you're always going to be a stellar business person, that you may not be really good with numbers, and you may need somebody to help sit down and walk through the process of calculating what your costs are, what does food really consist of as a cost of your meal, and how much is the alcohol or whatever it is that you're selling. And just being there as a guide to work with the business owner and helping them understand that, okay, like that first example that you had, ours is the very same thing. Instead of $20 for $10, it was $100 worth of food for $50. So the numbers are still the same percentage-wise. They've just moved up a little bit, and walk through that exercise with your client and just say, let's look at this, because nobody's probably done that, and I can almost guarantee Groupon or Restaurant.com or whoever, they're not going to sit down and run the numbers, because sometimes the numbers don't make sense. They're going to get you excited and say, look at all the people that will come in here. So make sure they understand the economics of it first, but then the other things that Reg is talking about as far as a follow-up plan and how are you going to capture those people, do you have the ability to market to them again and invite them to come back, get their date of birth so that you can send them a birthday card. Those are the sorts of things that I think we can also help to add some value.
Well, I think those are good points that you make. And I think one of the things to realize, and one of the things that I've done with my clients, is they know what they know. They know how to make a good steak. They know how to make a good salad. They know how to make a good drink. They know how to press and iron a shirt. But they don't know
Yep.
this part of the business. So
Right.
um, let them do that. And then the consultant, whoever that consultant is, this is not rocket science, folks. When I started doing the research for my client, I was shocked at how simple and easy it was to get your head around the big picture of what's possible here.
Yeah.
Not the details. Remember this, I don't care if it's 21.6 or 21.8% cost of food. What I care is that it's less than 22 and not 32. So I think that's something to think about. And some people
Yep.
get their knickers in a twist about having to have it down to the penny and 3 digits. And frankly, in reality, in most things in business, it doesn't care. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Some things it does, but most things it
Yep.
doesn't.
That argument won't work so well with bankers that like to balance everything to the penny, will it, Jeff? But from a retail perspective, I think we can get pretty close and be in good shape there. But
I'll bet that's true.
yeah, so.
Erica has a good question. She says, as a summary, do you suggest to clients doing daily deals?
I guess if I'm answering, I would say it depends on the industry, as we saw, because some are better than others. and it would depend on the willingness of the operator, whoever the operator is, to do what the rest of what's necessary after the simple part, which is designing the daily deal. Because you have to be willing to create and operate a database. This guy running this Mexican restaurant, he's not doing restaurant operations anymore. He doesn't run the back end. He doesn't run the kitchen. He doesn't run the front end. He runs the marketing. He runs the database. He manages the database.
Yeah.
So that would be my answer, I guess. If you're just going to do the coupon, and I would say no. But if you're willing to do the coupon and then build and then have a data capture system and then have a follow-up strategy and have a database and such, then absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, if 4 out of 5 people who come through my door with a coupon in their hand are new to me, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. It's almost like an iceberg where you look at the tip and, that's what you see and that's the coupon, and if you think that's all that you need to do, you're probably going to fail and get yourself into trouble. But what you don't realize is all the other responsibilities, or I'll word it more positively, the opportunities that exist beneath the surface of the water when you build your database, when you keep in touch, when you have a drip follow-up campaign in place. Just buying the coupon and getting people in the door isn't going to do it for you. And I would agree that if that's all that you're going to do because you think couponing is just offering a coupon to get people to come in, you're probably best not doing it, because you will just set yourself up to continue to lose money, as that initial example that you had with the 20 and the 10 shows. Because if that's all that you're thinking of, you can't make up losing money on volume. You just lose more of it.
Well, one thing that's not on that
comical comment. And Eric, our friend John, says in Canada we have recently eliminated the penny, so our bankers are in pain. I can understand how that's happening. And Reg, you have about 2 minutes, so you probably should wrap it up. I
can do that.
Yep.
Well, I have a special offer for you guys, for your participants and attendees, and that is I'd like to offer, and I'm excited to offer, a free half-hour consultation, not a sales call. I won't try to persuade you of anything, and at the end of that half hour, you'll have a crystal clear vision of your ultimate success for this year and beyond, and some help with creating the perfect lifestyle that your business should provide for you. In addition to that, we'll talk about when we'll work to uncover hidden challenges that may be sabotaging the growth of your business. And my clients tend to be in 2 categories. One is I'm working too hard for the money I make, and the second is, or my business makes, and the second is I'm making a lot of money, but I'm working 90 hours a week. And the third thing that you'll get is you'll leave energized, renewed, inspired, and hopefully your business will be more profitable and you will have a better lifestyle. Some of my clients have had massive revenue increases because that's what they wanted. Other clients have had no revenue increase, but they don't work 60 or 80 or 90 hours a week. They're working 10 or 15 or 20. So a free half-hour consultation, the toll-free number is there. You can learn more about me on the Free Webinar Wednesdays page, which has some links to me, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Particularly go to my LinkedIn page and check me out. You guys don't know me, and I'd be excited to talk with you. And that offer ends this Friday, the 29th. So if you want the free half hour, you got to act today or tomorrow or Friday. So, guys,
Reg, do you happen to know if your toll-free number works in Canada?
I don't know that.
If it does not, his regular phone number is at the bottom of the screen, 303-544-0340.
Yeah, and folks, I'm willing, I'm not stingy. I'm willing to make this PowerPoint presentation available to you. Just email me at the number, at the email address on the screen, and I'm happy to send it to you, and I'd be honored to share it with you. So, guys, it's been a pleasure being with you today.
Good. Well, thanks, Reg.
And,
this was good.
I've enjoyed this. Learned some things and enjoyed it as well. Thank you, Reg, for the excellent presentation and for being our guest. And Eric, I'll let you close it out.
Cool. Well, that concludes yet one more successful round of Free Webinar Wednesdays. Thanks again to Reg for being our guest, and I will say it was a pleasure planning this with you and going back and forth, and I do certainly hope we're able to keep in touch and maybe even bring you back for some networking and some other seminars down the road. So you've got some good information, and more importantly, you're willing